Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for joining our first edition of The Pit. This is a sports show across the state where we'll be talking about nothing but sports all across the Peach State. I'm WTVM Sports Director Tony Reese, joined now by my co-host of the day, WALB Sports Director Aaron Mueax. Aaron, a pleasure, man.
Man, I'm so excited, and it's only fitting we talk about the name of the show, The Pit. Seeing that race weekend is starting to come up this week, first race of the year in NASCAR, and we're here in the pit. I'm going to use a lot of puns, just so forgive me now in advance, because we're going to talk a lot about a bunch of different things. But I'm going to use this pit to my advantage. We're going to talk about some puns. I'm excited to be here. I know you're ready as well.
Hey, man, you got to love it. Now, I understand.
Let's
give people a little bit of perspective of exactly what they can expect from the show and who all will be on the show.
Yeah, I think what we're here to do is cover pretty much all local, regional, and statewide sports. We want to give everybody a perspective into what's going on here in the state of Georgia when it comes to sports. And obviously, the two of us can handle it, but what's it without a pit crew? So we got a whole list of talent that's going to be coming through here week after week. I'm going to start on the WALB side with our talent. Morgan Jackson, if you're from the 229, you obviously know who Morgan Jackson is. She's our lead sports reporter here. Mackenzie Blaze, fairly new to the team. She's from up north. She is now getting acclimated here in South Georgia. She will be filling in some of these weeks to discuss some of these topics. And then James Irvin, who's actually on the news side, but he has a deep passion for sports. He's also an Alabama fan, which I don't know if we should allow him on the show. We'll get into all that kind of as we go through this. And Morgan is a Gamecocks fan. So South Carolina, we got Florida State, and we got an Alabama fan that are coming in here to take over. How about on your side?
Oh, yeah, it's funny you say that, man. Our guy right there, you see Drew Pavon, he's actually a Bama grad, so definitely a lot of Bama connections there. He's our main weekend sports anchor, weekend sports reporter, as well as Mackenzie Collins. She's a sports contributor we have. She's an Auburn grad, so we talk about a lot of Alabama, Auburn, Georgia. That's a lot in our viewing area, but you'll see a lot of them throughout the course of the show, as well as throughout the course of the series we do.
So it sounds like we got pretty much every team covered. I mean, we got Alabama, we got Auburn, we got Georgia, we got Florida State down. And then I have to ask you, what team are you representing nowadays? Because I don't really know.
See, I'm a Troy grad, class of 2019, man, but Auburn has a close connection, Alabama as well. Anything and everything sports around the Bi-City area, Tri-City area for us throughout East Georgia, East Alabama, West Georgia.
Well, I'm bringing all the West Coast love over here. So give me all the USC and UCLA and Stanford and Cal, because I'm a Cali kid. So I'll bring the West Coast down south.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, hey, man, let's go ahead and jump into it. We start off with our first topic of the day, man. We're going to talk about UGA basketball right about now. We know they've been pretty spot on, 16-4 on the season, about 4-3 in the SEC. They happened to drop a top 25 matchup this last game, 87-67 against Texas. Up until that point, man, Texas has been a team that's been kind of going on the radar, but Georgia has been consistent year-round, or all season long, it seems. In this game, they kind of came up just short there. But, they're preparing to host Tennessee. But just what were your thoughts so far on the Dogs this season, and what do you think about them going into March Madness?
I think one thing about Georgia, obviously over the past few years, they've consistently gotten better, especially in the SEC. But when we look at Saturday's performance, I was a little bit disappointed. You talk about a team that had a 7-point halftime lead. Everything looked to be trending in the right direction. This is a team that averages 95 points a game. So everything was on track, and then all of a sudden they fall apart in the second half against a Texas team that just honestly couldn't stop making shots. And when you have a team that gets that hot from the perimeter, you have to play better perimeter defense than the Bulldogs did. And Mike White talked about that perimeter defense. I think the inconsistent level of play from Georgia is a concern for me. I'm not going to panic yet. Obviously, I think they're still in a position to make the tournament. But dropping out of the top 25, you lose to a team like Texas, even though it's on the road. They had a good opportunity to win 3 straight there, especially coming off that loss to Florida. They go beat South Carolina. And then they got another tough SEC opponent coming in here this week with Tennessee. So I think they have to do a much better job rebounding the basketball. Tennessee is one of the better rebounding teams in the SEC, in the nation, really. And now you're going to run into that team a couple of days after you struggled on the board. So I have some concerns. The roller coaster ride that Georgia has put us on makes me a little bit nervous as we're getting into February, getting towards March. But ultimately, you play in the SEC, you play this tough competition. I think you have to kind of feel okay with where you're sitting right now. You just want to see better and more consistency.
I couldn't agree with you more, Aaron. We talk about a team, man, it seems all season long they've been having some stacked offense. We all understand the SEC week in and week out, it's anybody's week. It could be anybody's game. Some people are hot some nights they're not. Some of their star players, a lot of returners they have on the game, and it looks like they're going to they're in the middle of a rut right now, but they look to bounce back against a tough Tennessee opponent, which is funny. We talk about Tennessee because the very next team we want to talk about is that Tennessee-Alabama game.
Yeah, it's interesting how these things kind of cycle and come full circle. The most interesting thing I think about Bama, and I think this was the story across pretty much the weekend, was the return of somebody that had eligibility, didn't have eligibility. What are we going through with that? How do you feel about Charles Bediako's return? Where's the NCAA at with this particular situation? I know we see it all the time in football with who's eligible, who's not eligible. We don't hear about it as much in basketball. Where do you kind of sit with the return, and what did you think of his performance?
Man, this was they call it the Wild Wild West at this point because you just never know. Any given day, something crazy is going on. So Bediako's whole return to Bama was based on a lawsuit that he put in. They get a temporary restraining order, it seems. He was arguing that European players are able to come back to school after being overseas playing professional. So he figured, why not him? He hasn't technically played in the NBA. He ironically had played just the Saturday before for the G League, but he had actually yet to play an NBA game. And he comes back in, and he scores 13 points. He hits two blocks, 3 rebounds, over 25 minute span. Decent performance, but you got to question, man, what does this mean for the landscape of college basketball if former professional players now are able to come back and take roster spots as well as play in these games, and then you come back hoping for a win and you wind up losing to a tough Tennessee team? So was it really worth it? And you got to ask Coach Nate Oates at this point.
Well, my question is, how many years of eligibility do I have left? Because I might be 40. I might have hit the 40 mark. But if I have a few years of eligibility left, why not me? Why can't I go in there and get a couple minutes, get a little run in? I like the fact that he was able to come back in and play. But at some point, the NCAA is going to have to look at this and say, what do we do? And this is their fault. This is on them for not having these rules clarified and set in stone. And then now you have everybody knowing, well, I can just sue the NCAA. I can file a lawsuit in my state and then get a restraining order, get an injunction from a judge that's probably an Alabama fan, and then the restraining order gets put on, and now I can play until it's decided. And I know I believe they have a hearing coming this week to determine if they're going to allow him to continue to play. Who knows if that's going to be put on hold, if that's going to disallow him or what. But I think the NCAA kind of needs a revamping of all this stuff. And it starts with the top. And if they don't fix it, it's going to hit a point where it's going to become catastrophic. And I just think this is poor mismanaged in general from the NCAA. And it's not anything new, though, right? It's like par for the course for them.
Aaron, I couldn't agree more. Well, hey, man, we're going to pay some bills real quick. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after that.
Welcome back into the pit. Now, Tony, we have got to talk about championship weekend in the NFL. Starting on the AFC side, the New England Patriots taking on the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton looking to become the first head coach to take and win a Super Bowl with 2 different teams. Obviously, Mike Vrabel now on the New England side. I have to get your thoughts on this one. Low-scoring game, 10-7, defensive contest, and, of course, a snow blizzard. What was your biggest takeaway coming from this matchup?
Aaron, I got to say, I knew going into this game, man, without the loss or not having Bo Nix, their starting quarterback, they turned to Jarrett Stidham. It was going to be a questionable game to begin with. Not saying Stidham wasn't going to be able to rise to the occasion, but that's a pretty big steep to try to come into and do. The fact that it was a low-scoring game, both of these defenses have been solidified all season. You got to give credit to Drake May. I know he was the lone touchdown score they actually had there. The guy's been phenomenal all season. He's expected to be the NFL MVP this year, I'm sure, at this point in time. And you just talk about just what you were able to see, looking here at the total yards, 206 yards for the Patriots to 181. They were able to convert more third down efficiencies, and they had 0 turnovers. That always is a key to winning a game, having no turnovers. Meanwhile, the Broncos had 2. So, those probably were risky, and they would like to have them back now. You talk about Sean Payton, to be that close and to be back in this position and to come up just short. Definitely not what the Broncos saw themselves going into the postseason.
Yeah, biggest point in that game, that turnover by Jared Stidham, the backwards throw, called a fumble. New England scores the lone touchdown of their game right there. So I thought that was a huge turning point. If you have a backup quarterback, you can't turn the football over. Denver did. Special teams played a factor, the missed kicks, and, of course, the blizzard in the second half. It was going to be hard to score some points in this game.
Can't lie with you there. Meanwhile, man, we just talk about the success they've had all season long. The New England Patriots now preparing to take on. They'll be prepping for February 8th. Looking at that NFC game, we were wondering who they would face off, whether it be the Seattle Seahawks or the LA Rams. That was a game that lived up to the hype and then some. We knew it was going to be a high-scoring affair. You talk about Sam Darnold playing on all facets this season, going against LA Rams, Matt Stafford, who was definitely aging against Father Time as far as what he's able to do, producing with Puka Nacua and as well as Devontae Adams and just the weapons they have there. You look at that, man, ultimately looking at that board of just total yards, you could have swore the Rams were going to win this thing. 479 yards to 376. They don't really turn on as many third down conversion efficiency-wise, 1/8 over 713. But, man, for the longest, even going into the final seconds of that game, it looked as if the Rams were going to pull it off. But meanwhile, the Seahawks were just lights out. That defense, they call themselves the dark side, really stepped up in a big way. And Sam Darnold, man, this guy since 2018, after being written off by the Jets and then going to have a fantabulous season last year with the Vikings and they're not bringing him back, and then first year with the Seahawks, and now he leads them to a Super Bowl. The story writes itself, man. That's just unheard of at this point.
It is. It's a story that people are going to talk about for a long time. The story I want to talk about is the inefficiency of third down for the Los Angeles Rams is not something we're used to seeing. Stafford's really good on third down. Puka's really good on third down. Sean McVay dialing it up on third down. Usually they have a good game plan for that. They were poor on third down, and that is, to me, the difference in the game. And then we talk about turnovers and special teams. It happened again in this game. We have a one-score game where the Seattle Seahawks were given points because of a muff punt. So if you weren't sure about how three phases of football really work at this level, you found out this weekend. You have got to be able to play good special teams, especially in these tight playoff games. And then I do want to point out, luckily Seattle ended up winning, but did anybody have a worse stretch of game or plays in my lifetime maybe, other than Reek Woolen? A dropped interception. You get, you're taunting on the sideline, you give him a first down, you get in a fight with your teammate on the sideline, and then the very next play, Sean McVay goes at you and you give up a touchdown. So if you're Reek Woolen today, you're thanking the football gods because you were able to get the win, but he's got to tighten that up because that stretch of plays right there, it was not good. It was not good, but it was fun to watch.
No doubt about it. Well, now we're looking at Super Bowl 60, man. This, ironically, is a rematch to Super Bowl 49, where the Seahawks played the Patriots. We know that was Tom Brady was still there. They wound up winning with that last-second Malcolm Butler interception right at the end zone. Many people wonder why Marshawn Lynch didn't run it up the middle, but, that's a different story for a different day. The last time these two teams played was just last year, man.
I'm tired of seeing it.
It was 26-20 last time, man.
I'm tired of seeing these same teams.
I'm telling you, what's your result? What's your prediction there? Who do you think wins this one?
I got the Seahawks. I think they're the best team in football. They're the most well-rounded. And shout out to Mike McDonald for the turnaround in 2 years. Him and John Schneider have put that team together in a couple of years. Both these teams did, but I got Seattle. I think they're just a little bit more complete.
No doubt about it, man. They are the favorites, and looking forward to that game coming down on February 8th out in Santa Clara, Levi Stadium, home of the 49ers. But, we're going to go take another break, and we're going to be right back with even more content checking at you over here on The Pit. Welcome back to The Pit, everybody. We're checking in now on the NFL, sticking there. We're going to go now to the Atlanta Falcons, hiring Kevin Stefanski, the former Cleveland Browns head coach, man. A lot of people questioning this one decision. Is it going to be a great one? What are your thoughts there, Aaron?
Look, I think a lot of the questioning that's coming from Kevin Stefanski comes from the fact that he had all the turmoil with the Shedeur Sanders drama in Cleveland. Look, if you think back to when Kevin Stefanski first took over in Cleveland, he led them to 2 playoff appearances. Obviously, the Baker Mayfield situation, they were doing what they were supposed to be doing, and then all of a sudden they go sign Deshaun Watson. They put him in a bad spot, and unfortunately since then he hasn't been able to get the job done. I actually like this hire a lot from Atlanta's perspective. You're talking about an offensive mind that wants to run the football. If you look at his rushing offenses back when he first took over Cleveland with Nick Chubb and the way they ran that offense, he loves play action. We saw this with Dalvin Cook in Minnesota. I think it sets up perfectly for a team like the Falcons. Bijan Robinson, obviously the guys up front, you're getting some of those guys back healthy. Caleb McGarry's going to come back next year. and then you have the play action game, which should help Michael Penix Jr. be able to create a little bit of opening for him to throw the football. I really like this. I know there's a lot of flack being given to him, but I think this is one of the better offensive minds in football. And with the defense getting bricked back and playing the way they did this year, if they can continue to progress on that side of the ball with Jalen Walker and James Pierce, I actually like it for Atlanta. I don't know why a lot of people are on the downside or saying they don't. I actually think this is a really, really good hire for the Falcons.
I'm with you, my man. If there was an expectation you have for him in year one, what would that be?
I mean, obviously, in that division, being that division's not the strongest, I think you have to compete for a division title. I think they actually probably could be the favorite. If you think about going into next year, if you look at who won it this year, Carolina. What did they win at 8-9? Like, what are we?
Come on now.
The expectations shouldn't be that high. If you can get to 10 wins if you're Atlanta, based on the season they had this year, they had an opportunity to possibly do that. So I think Kevin Stefanski can go in there, put them in a position to possibly win a division title. And I think if that's the result year one, I think you're trending in the right direction, and that'll be a positive thing for Atlanta, especially that front office. But I still question not having a GM in place before bringing the head coach.
Hey, man, they got.
I feel like that's just a disaster waiting to happen.
They got a president of football now, Matt Ryan.
I don't know. I like the Matt Ryan thing. Yeah, I mean, I like the Matt Ryan thing. I don't mind it, but I think you have to bring in a GM and a head coach that are on the same accord. And if you haven't hired that GM yet, how are him and the head coach supposed to be on that same accord? So I worry about that first, who's going to be picking players in the draft. But they don't have a first-rounder this year anyway, so I guess it really don't matter.
A lot of questions to be answered, man. Want to go ahead and bring it back now to our region here. We talk about, we call it the Fountain City Classic, Albany State versus Fort Valley State, man, a game that you know very well over there in the Albany area, and we know here in the Columbus area. Man, talk about that. We know there's a new change-up in coaches for both teams, essentially, just kind of what that means and what you know about your insight there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you speak to the Fort Valley side a little bit more than I will. Speaking to the Albany State side, Patrick Gale's team, I don't want to say it's going through a transition, but they haven't quite been what they've been as far as on the court, right, this year. I think when we talk about just the rivalry itself, this is what I'm talking about. The rivalry between Albany State and Fort Valley, you can't escape it. We're talking basketball this week. And we just hired a new head football coach, and we're already talking about, what we're going to do against Fort Valley. I think it's the rivalry that intrigues me the most, that inspires me the most. But it doesn't matter if you're a Fort Valley fan or an alumni or an Albany State. Anytime these two teams meet in any sport, it tends to have fireworks. And I expect some of that this week on the hardwood. I expect a lot of it this fall with new Coach Bowser coming in on the football side of things. So, and there's some guys from South Georgia, from areas we cover, that play on both of these teams. So that's always a lot of fun that we get to watch them Friday nights. And then now we're going to be able to watch them Saturdays as well.
Hey, man, it's going to be a lot of excitement. We talk about the basketball perspective, and, of course, football is definitely going to be interesting. But just like that, we're coming to a close here, our first edition of The Pit, man. It's been a pleasure to be with you, Aaron. Looking forward to many other shows as well with the rest of your team. And a lot of excitement, man, on our end.
So much more to come. We're excited. The Pit crew is back, or for the first time.
Yeah.
If you shout out, ludicrous reference there, back for the first time. We're back for the first time. I can't wait to get this thing really going. And obviously, I'm excited about the collaboration. I'm excited for South Georgia sports fans as we continue to build this. And who knows, the look will change a little bit. Things will kind of progress as we go. But right now, I think we're in a good spot, and continue to bring beautiful content to the South Georgia viewers is always fun. So I'm really excited, and I'm glad that we were able to kick off the inaugural show.
No doubt about it, man. Until next time.